Hello everybody. Today's topic of discussion is synthesis of bile acid. Example of bile acids are glycolic acid, glycosinodeoxycholic acid, lithocholic acid, deoxycholic acid. Then classification of bile acids. Bile acids are classified into three: primary bile acid, secondary bile acid, and tertiary bile acid. Primary bile acids are synthesized in the liver from cholesterol. Example are glycolic acid, glycosinodeoxycholic acid. Most common primary bile acid is glycolic acid. Then the secondary bile acid. They are formed from primary bile acid by the action of intestinal bacteria. Intestinal bacteria flora by deconjugation and dehydroxylation of primary bile acid from secondary bile acid. Example are lithocholic acid, deoxycholic acid. Next is tertiary bile acid. They are the synthetic product. Example is ursocholic acid, which is an epimer of chenodeoxycholic acid, and it is used as a gallstone dissolving agent. The ratio of glycine is to taurine conjugated bile acid in our body is about 3:1. Bile acid synthesis occurs in the liver, and the starting molecule, that is the precursor molecule of bile acid synthesis, is cholesterol. In first step, cholesterol is converted to 7-alpha hydroxycholesterol by 7-alpha hydroxylase enzyme. During this conversion, one molecule of NADPH plus H plus get oxidized. One molecule of oxygen is introduced, and peculiarity of this enzyme is it is vitamin C dependent enzyme, and it is related to cytochrome P450, and this step occurs within the microsome, and this step is the rate limiting step of whole bile acid synthesis. If you take trans fatty acid through food, it inhibits 7-alpha hydroxylase enzyme. So cholesterol cannot be converted to bile acid, so there is a hypercholesteremia. If you take increased amount of PUFA in through food, it stimulates 7-alpha hydroxylase. So more and more cholesterol is converted to bile acid, so there is a decreased cholesterol level in the blood. Cholesterol itself stimulates the 7-alpha hydroxylase, and bile acid inhibits the 7-alpha hydroxylase. Next, 7-alpha hydroxycholesterol either is converted to chenodeoxycholine CoA, or by the action of 12-alpha hydroxylase is converted to choline CoA within the microsome. And during this conversion, one molecule of propanyl CoA is liberated, and it is the one of the source of propanyl CoA in our body. During this conversion, NADPH plus H plus is oxidized, and one molecule of oxygen is introduced. Then chenodeoxycholine CoA is transported to the paroxysm, where the glycine gets conjugated with the chenodeoxycholine CoA to form glycosinodeoxycholic acid. Glycosinodeoxycholic acid. It is the one primary bile acid. And in paroxysm, choline CoA conjugated with glycine to form glycocholic acid is the another primary bile acid. Up to this occurs within the liver. Then these two primary bile acids enters into intestine, and in the intestine, by the action of intestinal bacterial flora, primary bile acid get glycosinodeoxycholic acid get deconjugated and 7-alpha dehydroxylation to form deoxycholic acid. It is one secondary bile acid. And glycocholic acid, by the action of intestinal bacterial flora, gets deconjugated and 7-alpha dehydroxylation to form lithocholic acid. It is the secondary bile acid. Another secondary bile acid. So in this way, the bile acids are synthesized in our body. Then the regulation of bile acid synthesis. Cholesterol induce the gene of 7-alpha hydroxylase, and bile acid suppress the gene of 7-alpha hydroxylase through the farnesoid X receptor. And for this, enterohepatic circulation is very, very important. And that's all about the bile acid synthesis. Next, the dietary fibers. What is dietary fibers? It is the indigestible form of carbohydrate in the diet. For example of dietary fibers are cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin, lignin, mucilage. Then why we should take dietary fibers through food? It draws the water. When we take the dietary fibers, it draws the water within the alimentary canal. It increases the bulk of the food, so there is a sense of fullness without taking calories. As it increases the bulk of the food, it increases the gut motility, so it improves the constipation, so there is a lower chance of colonic cancer. As there is an increased gut motility, it decreases the absorption of bile acid, so there is a decreased serum cholesterol level. And second importance of dietary fibers is it increases the glucose tolerance in our body. So how much dietary fibers we should take? That is the 30 gram per day. What happens when we take the dietary fibers in huge amount? As the dietary fibers is rich in phytanic acid, which inhibits absorption of iron and selenium. So there is a deficiency of iron and selenium occurs in our body. And that's all for today. Thank you.